listening to the Medic Materials Podcast, hosted by Mike Turek, Emily Yates, Kelsey Coons, and Gerard Cuomo. All are current EMS providers and educators with a combined 30 years experience. Each month, we discuss EMS news, medical science, and review actual EMS calls, bringing many educational opportunities to the listener. Portions of the calls have been altered to protect the privacy and identity of all involved.
Hello and welcome everyone back to the Medic Materials Podcast. Kelsey, you were dancing. I want to know, Gerard, how did your stroke feel on this one?
It's a seizure.
It was a seizure?
Yeah, it was not pleasant. Even though I'm not there, I still was like cringe.
I'm sure you were. Emily, you're back. We kicked Kelly to the curb again.
Poor Kelly.
So welcome back.
Thank you. Don't tell her this, but I like you better. Oh, poor Kelly.
She knows. She knows.
I'm sure. She's gonna start acting up if you keep this up.
Probably. You know, she's been demanding lately. Like, she wants shirts. She wants merchandise.
Watch out.
Like,
give the girl what she deserves.
I know, right? Who doesn't?
Lord.
Integral part of our show is
Honestly.
Kelly. But yeah, so we're going to be doing a call review. We have a couple announcements, so I'm going to hand it right over to Kelsey for her rig check, and we'll get started.
So, guys, there are currently 6 episodes in the Patreon where we review some of the craziest calls yet to air on the show. There's beer, ambulance accidents, traumatic smoothies from a blender accident gone wrong, and much more. We save our most gut-wrenching, thought-provoking calls for our Patreon listeners. So, to join the Patreon family, click the link below and get access to these episodes monthly. We're going to shout out our listeners in South Africa and Delaware today, and Miss Emily has a special announcement for you guys.
So one of the craziest things working in a local hospital is all of these providers that listen to this, which I think is still baffling, will come up
amazingly
and ask,
baffling.
It's crazy that you guys actually listen to us. Nobody else does.
So get this, before you go on, we've actually surpassed 6,200 downloads.
That's amazing.
Like, it's worldwide. It's crazy. Like, it is mind-blowing.
Wow. It blows my mind. And even more so when you guys come in and you see me in the hospital or wherever and you're like, hey, I have this question. And I have to tell you, my memory is like a goldfish, but I really think most of these questions are not geared for me and they're geared for Gerard and Turek, and they would love to hear them. So send your questions in.
Yes. Use the email.
I know nothing.
No, you do. These questions, Gerard, you would have a blast with.
I'm
Really?
sure. I'm sure we would have a...
Somebody asked me if they are this funny in real life. I promise they are.
Well, that's good. I'm so glad that you didn't lie.
Yeah, no, I can honestly say that.
Could you imagine?
No, what you see is what you get, man. This is. There's no acting here.
Well, and that's it. Like Kelsey just said, could you imagine if all this was made up? And I could not imagine this being an on-air character. Like, I couldn't imagine.
No.
It would be so hard. But yeah, so literally I'm with Emily. You and I talk a lot.
Yeah.
And you are always like, oh yeah, somebody came in, said this, said that. And I'm like, I don't ever get that. And then I got it.
I know.
One day, like, dude just came up and was like, hey, really cool to meet you. I listened, blah, blah, blah. And I was like,
Angry
that's
eyebrows.
so cool. And then they thought I was angry.
And then
I was
got
like,
a text later, and they were like, I really hope I didn't upset him. And I was like, no, I promise it's just his face.
It's just the eyebrows. Don't worry.
Right.
and I was...
It's his resting fuck you face.
Right. But it's so true. Like, I was upbeat. I was chipper. I was like, thank you. It is so much appreciated. And I was still...
And yet they still thought you were freaking telling them to go fuck themselves.
I can't win.
It's just your face.
Well,
I walked into work the other day, and somebody was like, why are you always smiling when you walk in here? And I was like, I'm not allowed to be happy to be here. They're like, I don't know. Nobody else has a happy face all the time. And I was like, oh, well.
I don't
The
know.
exact opposite.
I don't know. And I think the
face.
mask makes it worse because when they see me in the hospital, all they see is eyebrow. Like eyes, eyebrow, and then my hat and the mask cover the rest. So it's like, it's bad. But we all do really appreciate it. And, The new email address is down in the description wherever you watch or listen to this show. So please do send us questions, comments,
funny things, anything. We love hearing the feedback.
Literally, yes, if something weird happened on a call, we'd love to hear it.
Oh,
exactly.
You aren't kidding.
Exactly. So there's always things to talk about. And with that, I'm going to announce something really cool that, again, I hid from you guys, but
I hate that.
But Gerard knows because, we're dicks. And
thank you.
Oh,
You said it, not me.
But for a long time now, I've been working on getting the CIC and doing different CMEs and presentations and this, that, the other thing. And it is now official that I will be speaking at the IAC, or Initial Assessment Conference 2022 in Lake Placid, New York. The conference is April 6th through the 10th of this year, again, held in Lake Placid. Registration is open. I will be giving 2 presentations, one on, I literally think, my favorite subject, which is EMS culture and education, and then I will be doing another one on bagging for EMS. So utilizing the BBM properly within the EMS realm. So both of those are going to be done on April 10th, the last day of the conference.
Save the best for last.
Exactly. So if you can make it out, like I said, the link to the registration for the week is in the description of the show notes and on YouTube. So
for our
that's awesome.
Listeners that may not live near Lake Placid, is there a Zoom or online alternative that they can sign up for?
That I do not know. I was on their website yesterday doing like back portal stuff as a presenter, and I didn't see anything that was not in person. So, but there are national presenters coming in, which I think is, really cool. Like they actually got another online forum, Foam Frat. I'm sure everybody's heard of it. 2 of their guys are going to be speaking at this conference too. They're big. Like they're big.
So we live under a rock, Kelsey.
Yes, apparently you guys live under a rock. But they do what we do, just they started earlier and have a lot more money behind them.
One day.
We won't be in the basement.
Yeah. One day we'll own our own building and it'll be cool. But
I was gonna say is if nobody's there, if they don't actually have a Zoom or something like that, I'll just sit in the front row with my my phone and live stream it while I heckle you.
Hey man, I'm all for it. You could you'll have good internet. So you could probably live stream it to the Medic Materials Facebook page,
right? Probably.
And they could just watch it there. Boom, done.
I'll just get like Justin's face like on the end of a stick, a picture, and I'll just hold it up over my face at you.
Oh, that'd be phenomenal. You can't make the COVID cough come out. Okay,
my COVID cough alone.
Just pneumonia.
Yeah, just a little bit of pneumonia.
No big.
But yeah, so that's happening. Registration is open. So if you guys want to come out, hang out. And one of the coolest things that I'm trying to work out with Travis, the gentleman who runs this whole thing and organizes it, is I'm trying to get us a vendor booth so that we can, meet and greet and talk with all of the people there. But I also ran by doing a live podcast from the event. Almost like if anyone out there listens to like Free Beer and Hot Wings and they go to a bar and do like a live event, that's kind of what I'm trying to put in place.
Do I get chicken wings out of this?
Cool.
Yes, I will buy you all the chicken wings you want. Chicken nuggets up the butt.
You had me at what? Oh, that doesn't sound like fun. Well, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, all depends on what people.
All you listeners out there, chime in. Chicken fingers up the butt. How's, slightly amusing or just mostly?
So basically, I'm gonna need 2 long sticks to slap you both when you start crossing a line.
Probably.
So all you people out there who had that question, hey, are they really like this?
Yeah, they are.
Show up there and you will find out.
Come hang out with us.
Yep, exactly. So it should be a really fun time. So getting into the call review today, your system is a rural suburban district covered by a paid private ambulance company staffed with 2 paramagicians. This configuration is not normal to the company, but has been more recently with the whole staffing issues around current EMS. There are hospitals in this vicinity. There's one critical access hospital, approximately 5 minutes away from the scene, and a general community hospital about 30 minutes away, and 2 level 2 trauma centers, approximately one is 1 hour north and one is 1 hour south. So you got a lot in this little zone. You guys are dispatched a Bravo priority or priority 3 to a local residence for a 35-year-old male with a burn injury. So what right off the rip are you guys already thinking just with dispatch information?
I don't like burns. They gross me out. That's like the one thing that I'm like, bleh.
I mean, I'm with you. They stink. Like, I don't care what they look like, but man, do they fucking smell. Like, that's just, you never forget that smell. It's
that
like,
is true.
It's like bad GI bleed.
Bleh.
Like,
Yeah, you never forget that one.
You never forget that. So right
See,
now,
I can do bad GI bleed. You know me. It's that stale UTI. That never leaves me.
I wonder if I added a bleh sound effect,
Right?
if we'd get somebody in like their car going bleh, bleh. Have you ever seen that bitch on TikTok?
Oh my
she's-
god, I'm obsessed with her.
Seriously, I want to know if it's real or if she's just faking it, because that is
that's
fucking
gotta be real.
hilarious.
I probably watched her entire stream of videos for like 2 hours one night. It's hysterical. Oh god.
And she
Completely out
looks
of
like
the
the
loop on that one.
sweetest person ever. It's like this little, she's like, super tiny, well dressed, like she's looks like a seemingly nice person. And her husband comes up, records the TikTok, and goes, "Hey, blah blah blah, blah," and
It
that
just sets her off.
and it sets her off.
Oh my
and
god,
the
it's
next
starts
30
gagging,
seconds of the
thrown
video
up.
is literally her going, "Blah, no, God, blah, blah."
Stop it right now.
It's fucking hilarious.
Oh god.
But yeah, I wonder if we just did that to our whole audience is now sitting here going,
It wasn't convincing enough.
Oh my god, I love it.
so yeah,
I can't.
it's all right, everyone. You're hanging out with a bunch of 12-year-olds. It's fine.
Yes.
They all know who we're talking about.
Yep,
For the record.
totally. So really, what are you guys thinking about?
I don't.
Yeah, that's because,
You're old.
yeah.
That's right.
So really, what are you guys thinking about with this type of
Where's my
dispatch
nearest burn
information?
center? You said trauma 2 centers. Level 2 trauma
Ding.
centers. That is the biggest thing I've ever
Sorry.
heard.
I
That
can't
is a
reach it.
Huge ding. Where's my nearest burn center?
An hour and a half-ish
Okay.
north.
What's my options for a helicopter do?
A helicopter do? I mean,
It's kind of like a helicopter, only smaller.
okay.
Mini.
A mini helicopter do.
Whatever.
They do service this area. We're going to find out later that there is actually a air medical base about 7 or 8 miles down the road from where this call happens.
Go fucking figure.
It's a good day.
Yep. So,
I mean, there's a lot left to be interpreted. Like, did I burn my hand? Did I burn my mouth? Like,
Yeah, was
what
it a
did
cup
I
of hot
burn it on?
coffee?
Yeah, like, I have a lot more
Right.
questions. I don't want to make an opinion yet.
I like that.
I just wanted to know my resources.
Yep. Operations
No,
is
absolutely.
a clear, good thing to be thinking about, especially when you don't have the information. Let's think about things that we
Right.
can control.
Right.
You know? So the crew arrives on scene and sees police standing outside the home with a group of individuals.
Oh, that's fun.
Yep.
I mean,
EMS grabs their first in bag and cardiac monitor, and then they take the stretcher out of the ambulance and leave it at the bottom of the porch stairs. So for a burn call, do you feel like first in bag and cardiac monitor is sufficient?
Gerard, I'm looking at you.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it. I mean, as long as in the first in bag you've got dressings and stuff like that. I'm assuming you got all that stuff in there. Then yeah, just grab the first in bag with your O2s and all that good stuff, and a monitor. I mean, I can't imagine wanting to do much on scene. You know, if it's,
What if you need pain
I don't know.
management?
You know me. I like to work in the back of the ambulance, so no matter what we're
yeah,
moving,
working
we're
in
moving
your
back to the
office
rig,
kind of
so,
thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So for me, yeah, I mean, I've got everything I need in the bag as far as, you know, trauma stuff goes, or, you know, anything like that, airway management. You know, maybe the ALS bag would have been a more prudent thing to bring in as well, just because, you know, I might have some things in there that, you know, for pain management, or God forbid, this isn't just a Bravo, and, you know, might have to intubate or something like that. So.
Right, and it all kind of depends on where your airway stuff is kept. Like in our agency, it's in a completely different bag. It's in an airway bag. So now you're bringing 4
completely
things
separate
in,
bag. Yeah.
You know, so it really, and then I've worked in the agencies that have it on the top of your, you know, primary bag, or in the top of your ALS bag. Like it just depends on the system that you're working in. But yeah, I think all you guys kind of wanted more. Like it felt like the table wanted more.
I was thinking ALS bag specifically, you know, maybe they're in so much pain you're not going to be able to move them. You can't even get them to the stretcher at the moment. I mean, I really have no idea. It could be they burnt their tongue on a cup of coffee. I know nothing right now.
I'm also really, I leave that up to the medics. Like I am, here's my line, a part-time EMT, and I will be damned if I'm going to carry that fucking drug bag around. So if you want it, you get it.
That weighs as much as I do.
But I also know, like, once you walk in on scene, if you don't have it, like, I don't need to be told to go get it.
Right, but they're going to ask.
I can see that. Right, but
they're
like,
going to ask. Hey,
but it's not, you know.
Can you go get this?
I will not be the provider that's be like, do you want your ALS bag?
Yeah.
No, because I'm not carrying it.
Right.
In or out, so.
I mean, it all good points.
So what I'm carrying is what we got, and I'm okay with that.
Right. And
there's 2 paramedics. They got 4 arms together.
It's true. Very true. And so I was kind of in the camp of, is this really enough? And I just wanted more information. So when I was writing this call and talking with the providers, I actually asked, like, what was the thought process behind taking just that stuff? And their thought process was to extricate from the home as rapidly as they could to work inside the ambulance.
I'm all about that.
Whether it was severe and they needed to move quickly to a hospital or a helicopter or wherever, or it was minor and they just didn't want to deal with it in the house.
Especially with that many people around, I'm totally okay with that.
So once I got the reasoning, I was like, okay, this makes a lot more sense and I can get behind it. So the 2 medics walk up the front stairs and enter the home, passing the police and the group of people.
Do we know why they're there? They're just kind of hanging out.
They're just kind of hanging out.
Okay.
Nobody says anything. The police don't be like, hey, you know, they just...
Like, building's on fire. It's all good. What's going on? How you doing? How you doing?
Yeah, how you doing?
How you doing?
So the 2 medics, they search the home, and no one is found within the home. So the primary medic...
All right, no patient.
Well, now I'm really glad I didn't grab the ALS bag.
No patient. Love it. So
Bye-bye.
The primary medic walks back outside and looks at the sheriff and's like, where the fuck is this patient? And the sheriff just, you know, casually...
Yes, where the fuck is this patient?
Just like that.
Just like that.
Probably.
Hey, where the fuck is my patient?
So the...
Where are you taser?
So the sheriff just kind of casually points to a very overweight male individual that just happens to be standing in the group of people that they passed.
Jesus Christ.
We walked past
I'm already annoyed at this
everybody,
call.
and nobody said anything.
Nobody said a goddamn word to these paramedics. They literally just let them walk inside the house.
I'm already annoyed.
So clearly, this can't be serious because there's no...
Oh, it could be.
Sense of urgency.
We could just be dealing with buffoons.
Yeah, they're gonna go inside, you know, watch a little Netflix. Yeah, it'll be out in a minute.
Like,
be all right.
It's I can't make this shit up. Like, these are the things that I love.
So I do have a question. When the paramedics are walking around this house because nobody said anything, did they notice anything out of the norm? Like, you know, a stove that's completely burnt or
no
anything indicating a fire or anything? Okay.
Nope.
You know, a bottle of like toxic chemicals spilled on the kitchen floor? No. Okay.
Nope. They did a very like, hey, there's nobody in any of these rooms. Let's go.
I would have been very confused. I wouldn't have been looking for anything else.
Exactly. Right? And I probably would have
Okay,
been
but
like,
you
all
would've
right, no
noticed-
patient, bye.
You
Like,
would
what
have
am I doing?
noticed
Right.
the stove that's
Right, I'm looking
burnt
for a
to the
person,
wall.
you know?
I
It's
would
like,
have smelled it first.
Probably.
Yeah. So now that they've identified their patient, the primary medic walks up and introduces themselves. The male is standing, and this is, I'm going to paint the most glorious picture. So you have a gargantuanly fat, 450-pound big white dude standing in the middle of his yard in the middle of winter in the none other but Daisy Duke short shorts.
Oh, good.
Because what else would he be? I mean, honestly.
So, I mean, let
there
that,
wear short shorts.
let that just
Let the record
fester.
stir.
Did we have any testicular protrusion?
Do you really want to know the answer to that?
I don't even have the answer to that.
Oddly, I do.
You would.
The world wants to know. The world wonders.
The world does not.
Yeah, the world doesn't need to know. So,
How short were they? They were so short.
oh gosh, you could see the wrinkles on the shrivel.
And 450 to boot. That's fucking awesome.
So, are you okay over there? I think we've offended Kelsey.
It's not even that. I just feel like half these jokes are going over my head, so I'm just sitting here.
I'm sorry, you're so young and innocent.
I
It's
really,
so
I kind of
nice.
painted a clear picture of what I was talking about.
So,
Eventually, I just tune you out when you start making these jokes.
It's like
Poor-
every other woman in my life.
You beat me to it.
There you go. See? She's one of them.
so the two begin to
What was I
have.
saying? I needed help with the pain. Oh. I tuned you out.
Oh, good gravy.
All right.
So the two begin to have a conversation. The medic finds that the airway is open and clear. The right side of his face was very red in color, all the way down from the top of his head to the right shoulder. No signs of severe burn, no blisters or charring to that area. Breathing appears slightly tachypnic, but otherwise regular. No active bleeding was noted, and no radial pulses were taken. The medic noted significant. Apparently, I'm hearing things. The
No, I heard it too.
I heard it.
okay, so it's not just me.
I didn't do anything.
Nope, not you. So, the medic noted.
Let's take this opportunity to clear our throats.
I just had it. The medic noted significant second-degree burns on both arms from the mid-bicep down to the fingertips, as well as the thorax from the nipples down to the belt line. These areas are covered with white, waxy skin as well as blisters. However, the blisters were intact and not open or oozing.
God, I can't wait to hear the story behind this.
I'm just like trying to think of like what body position were we in?
He was looking to the left.
I'm hoping it wasn't missionary.
He was looking to the left, and it burned the right side of his face and his belly and his arms.
Do we think he was just like whoop,
And
Like
must
a
have had
Lego?
something covering his chest.
like a Lego?
A Lego?
What?
Yeah, like with the arms bent at a 90-degree
Oh,
angle.
now I get where
Or
she's
like,
going with it.
whoop.
Yep.
See, I was thinking G.I. Joe with the Kung Fu grip, but yeah, okay.
Yep. So they also found first-degree burns on the chest from the nipple line up to the neck. Both inner thighs from the mid-thigh down to the knee also presented with significant second-degree burns that appeared the same as what was on the abdomen. From the knee to the feet, they noted first-degree burns. However, the soles of the feet were very red with blisters. So
What?
presentation, do you need me to go through it again? That's my
No.
first
Did
question.
it's just
he walk across a
strange.
thing of hot coals to find his
No,
inner
because
self
there's first
something?
degree burns on the soles of his feet, so he dumped something on
But
him
it
and
says
stepped in it.
it says very red with blisters on the soles. You don't get blisters with
so he's
first degree.
second degree.
But he's second degree only from like
So
the
it's
nipple to the knees.
Yeah, pretty much.
Nipple to the knees.
Yeah.
And the bottom of his feet.
Right.
And everything else is first.
Right.
Don't forget his hands and arms.
Or second degree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Except for his
initiating
face
Lego
is first
position.
degree.
Again, you want me to run through it again?
No, did we get it?
So
Sure. Run
more or
through it
less.
again.
Okay. So medic notes significant second degree burns on both arms from the mid bicep to the fingertips. The thorax from the nipples down to the belt line are all second degree. Areas are covered white waxy skin with non-open blisters. First degree on the chest from the nipple line up to the neck, as well as the top of the head to the right shoulder is first degree. Both inner thighs from the mid thigh down to the knee also presents with second degree burns. From the knee to the feet, they noted first degree burns. However, the soles of the feet were second. I know that's a hard.
Okay.
So, in anatomical position, if you drew a line straight across the nipples to knees are second degree. Everything else is first but the feet.
Correct.
Correct.
Under the feet. Yeah, the soles of the feet.
Okay.
Yep. So, with this whole presentation, what are you guys thinking about first? And second, I want to know, does anyone have any type of airway concerns at this point in time?
I mean, that's pretty significant burns.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
a lot of surface
I
area.
feel
It is a lot
I'm
of surface
asking-
area.
The first thing I'm thinking is what caused this in such a weird pattern is probably the first thought that's going to pop into my head. But also, depending on
Yeah.
what caused it, is there smoke inhalation that I'm worried about with the airway? And maybe not the airway itself, but if you've got second degree burns on your chest, how well can you exactly take breath in and out?
Yeah.
Yeah, good
Yep.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
go-
literally,
it's
like,
gonna
first
get
question would be
tight.
like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah, like
Right.
But I want to know what type of burn it is because that's going to dictate a lot of, like, am I expecting something with the airway? I'm expecting, like, I
Right, is
can't
this
actually
a
even
flame
touch
burn? Is it a
you.
chemical burn? Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
So the the crew assists him to the stretcher, which again is right there.
Is he able to, like, walk and
Yep.
he's not complaining?
Oh, he's complaining,
Oh, okay.
but they get him, 2-3 steps over to the stretcher.
Okay.
And they put him in the truck. The
Was his back burnt or no?
no.
Okay.
The secondary medic, now that they're in the truck, the secondary paramedic removes his shorts and note no further trauma or burns under the shorts. The two medics begin to then have a conversation about where to transport this guy. And they choose to bypass all local hospitals that we've previously established. And they want to transport him to the local burn center, which is a 90-minute drive from the scene. So these paramedics continue to talk, and due to the long transport distance, the primary medic floats the idea of having air medical transport this patient to the burn center instead. So, get to the chopper! I get to use my favorite sound effect ever.
I do like the idea.
I like the idea too, right? So the second medic agreed, and they both go, "Hey, there's literally an air medical base 7 miles down the road.
Please someday they just knock on the door. I've got a patient.
Why not, right? If they're there." So the crew radios to their county dispatch to have the flight crew stand by in quarters as they would be bringing the patient to the air medical base. And because of this, they actually are, forward thinking, and they estimate the guy's weight at around 400 pounds. And they relay this to dispatch to be able to tell
I was
the flight
just
crew,
going to say that.
which is phenomenal thinking on these guys'
Yeah, I was
parts.
just going to say that.
Phenomenal. So, awesome sauce. So, we're all, I'm sure, okay with the flight decision for this guy. I think it's warranted. What do you guys believe this crew needs to be doing in the meantime while they're getting the helicopter all prepared and, actually get there?
Figuring out A, what happened, and B, airway breathing.
I agree.
I think they need to calculate surface area. Like, they need to get a better idea of exactly how much burn there is.
Yep.
And obviously airway breathing.
Yep. It's all there. like
Yeah.
airway breathing, you know, the whole circulation, but also the burn calculations, right? Because treatments are going to be affected on that.
Right.
Right. That's going to determine what I'm going to be doing with fluids, going in too.
Exactly. So.
Oh, what is that? Parkland
4
formula.
milliliters
Parkland.
per kilogram times body surface area of burns. First half over 8 hours. Boom.
There you go.
Why I remember that? Can't tell you.
Because it's sometimes important. So baseline vitals are obtained at this point. He is conscious, alert, and oriented ×4. BP via the NIBP cuff is 163/97.
Bet that fucking hurt.
Probably. Could you imagine?
Where did they take it?
I'm assuming the arm. I didn't get anything.
Doesn't matter. He's burned everywhere.
Yeah,
but you
no matter
got
where, it's going to hurt.
a second-degree burn on the arm. You could have went with the first degree on the calf.
I'd rather have an accurate blood pressure.
I'd rather have an
As
me
much
too.
as it sucks, pain never killed anyone.
Correct.
Yeah.
So BP is 163/97. Heart rate via palpation of the carotid, because again, they're not touching the limbs at this point, was 100 strong and regular. Respiratory rate is 24 regular rhythmic. And no pulse ox was taken because they didn't want to touch the burns on the hands, which is, again, why they didn't take the, radial
To his
pulses.
ear.
So, what?
I would have taken a radial.
I'm just saying what they
Do we
wanted
even
to
have
do.
radial?
That's what I'm saying. Like, is it there?
I don't know. They never took one.
Okay.
He's got a carotid.
Moving on.
He's got a pulse. Looking around at him. I guess that's fair enough for me. So at this point, both medics attempt to calculate percentage burned. They utilize the rule of nines, and together they come up with 35%.
Oh, I was going to guess 40.
Ooh, nice.
Damn.
Nice.
Nice.
So with this information, they begin to grab all available abdominal dressings. They end up soaking in saline and applying to the blistered areas. The thighs and the arms, but mostly
we have
the abdomen.
we have a wet bandage.
Fuck off.
We have a confirmed wet
We've
bandage.
achieved wet bandage.
Which we'll talk about later too. So we actually have a couple things in that paragraph that I want to touch base on later on. So the patient at this point continues to converse with EMS, but is in obvious significant pain.
Yeah, I bet.
Both arms were shaking. There's like pain tremors.
Did we cover him up with a blankie once we covered his wounds?
No.
Oh, that's sad.
There's moaning, in distress, reporting. Pain is 10 on 10. Now,
But he wasn't like
eventually-
that when we fucking walked past him.
Correct,
Right.
right?
Bitch, please.
Like,
You
seriously.
had your pain meds
Come
way
on.
sooner, bro.
It's all right. The cop gave him Narcan.
Yeah.
16 milligrams.
So the primary medic asks him about medical history. He reports that other than just being morbidly obese, he has no other health concerns, does not take any medications, and has no medication allergies. And then finally, we get a story. So the medic, asks, how in the hell did all of this occur? And he tells the medic that he had heated up his large turkey fryer on the back porch.
Ooh.
And he then proceeded to put, once it was heated, he proceeded to put about 30 completely frozen chicken fingers into the hot fryer, which then, of course, frozen food, non-thawed, in a chicken fryer explodes, right? So he made the hot oil explode out of the fryer all over the front of him. Now, just for, thought's sake, keep in mind that fryer oil in these kind of turkey fryers are heated to anywhere between 325 and 375 degrees. So it's fucking hot. Like, once it explodes all over him, he now attempts to escape from the hot grease. But since it's all over the floor, he's got to walk through all the scalding hot oil and grease to get out of the back porch, because it's one of those, covered back porches.
Yeah.
So again, this is where the bottom of the feet come in because he's just walking, traipsing through hot oil. So
it's like a 400-pound John McClane.
Nice.
The glass.
Seriously, guys?
Wow.
Got nothing.
Oh
Die
my
Hard.
God.
Really?
Couldn't tell you.
I have no words on that one. No words.
Wow.
That one hurts.
I think
me
Weird.
here.
Same with us.
I think everyone in the freaking audience just like face palmed themselves.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Hope you don't have burns.
That hurt. Good gravy.
Y'all ain't communists by any chance, are you?
So,
You were born here.
so during this interview, the secondary medic finishes the bandaging, and then the primary medic begins to look for IV access. Seeing how badly the burns on the arms were, they automatically sought alternative IV placement sites. First, the secondary medic looks at the EJ, and but the patient, as it was described to me, did not have a sufficiently sized neck. It was shoulders and then a head.
I mean, I believe. I was just thinking, that's a fucking hard EJ right there.
Right, so that probably was going to be unsuccessful. Maybe a little fishing, throw in your line, see if anything nibbles.
Hope we don't hit the artery.
Right. Hopefully we don't hit something important. We'll see. So the medic then moves to look at the feet. But again, due to the burns, they felt that performing IV access on the tops of the feet would be too painful and too pointless with how much fluid they could put in.
Right. I agree.
In the feet. So
I wouldn't have done
again,
that.
I'm with these medics at this point in time. So
Do people have good calf veins? Because I feel like
I have only ever put one IV in somebody's middle portion of their leg, and it was on their shin, and they just happened to have a really good vein
that's something about
on the top of their shin.
Veins I see on like your shin and your calves.
You don't have very great, and they're not seeable.
I mean,
they're
and
deep.
This man is 400 pounds.
Right.
That's true.
Right.
That's going to be a really hard stick.
Yeah. He's not fat, he's fluffy.
Yeah.
So, so at this point, the medic then chooses to perform conscious IO placement in the left tibial plateau.
Ooh.
So the medic decides he's going to administer 100 mics of fentanyl via IM to the upper arm just before the IO procedure. So
That was nice of him.
they administer the fentanyl, and now they're starting to get all of their IO stuff out. They proceeded to place the IO successfully, which is awesome. And the patient clearly feels the pain of the drill.
Oh, yeah.
Screams in pain upon insertion. And so this paramedic pushes 100 milligrams of lidocaine through the IO, and then normal saline bag is spiked, 10-drop set, and secured to the IO with a pressure infuser. Line is set to wide open. They're just going to dump fluids into this IO. So again, do you guys, we kind of, hit each bullet point, all appropriate actions taken by this paramedic at this point?
I think so.
Yeah. I can agree. All
I'm
pretty
with
good
them.
things.
What are the arguments towards choosing that over like the humeral head? Is there like benefits one way or the other? Because the only thing I'm thinking is if we're flying him, what great access does the flight crew have to that leg?
Just as much as we do, because they would hang. At least, like in my wife's helicopter, you're not going to have immediate access to the actual site because of the tunnel where
But you have the
their
line.
feet go.
Yeah.
But their line goes up to where they are, so they could still drop stuff through the actual line.
And the only thing I could think of against the humeral head would be, I mean, if he's 400 pounds, probably got really beefy arms.
Yeah,
Probably.
and again, it really depends on
Where he carries his weight. and-
exactly. Like finding a humeral head on a fat person is nearly impossible. You know,
And you have a needle big enough to get it.
right, right. So I like the placement in the leg. Yeah, it's going to take a little bit to get there, but you know what? We're gold. We're gold. So at this point, they're still on scene. Approximately 10 to 15 minutes total, time being on scene, which, again, is nothing.
I don't think it's a bad thing.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't think that's.
County dispatch comes back on the radio and advises them that due to patient weight, the air medical helicopter that is 7 miles away could not accommodate the flight. However, they are dispatching a second larger aircraft that could accept the flight. They now have a 25 minutes plus lift ETA, and they will land at the base. So the crew chats it over, and they say, yep, this is awesome. We'll just sit here for 25 minutes. No big deal. They accept the new med flights ETA and advise the county that they're going to transport the patient to the air medical base that's 7 miles away and await the second aircraft, who, again, can land at that place. So the secondary medic gets into the driver's seat. They start heading down the road. Would you guys have done the same thing, more or less?
Yeah.
I think it's better than an hour and a half drive.
Yeah, I
You
agree.
know?
And
I'd wait
also,
the 25
if
minutes.
something goes down really fast, you have extra set of hands by extra
Exactly.
providers right there.
Exactly.
Right.
So cardiac monitor is placed. Initial rhythm shows a sinus tach at a rate of 108.
How hard is that
What?
to put a 12 lead on?
I didn't say that. I said the cardiac monitor, which means 4 lead.
Fair.
But I'm sure
That's it.
if you
She's got to
did-
go back to school, do it all over again.
Clearly.
Quit.
You suck, you jackass.
So sinus tach, rate of 108. Another dose of 100 mics of fentanyl is given through the IO due to continued pain.
I bet.
Yep. So the patient is still complaining of pain to the entire body. Does not complain about being cold, and there's no change in his mental status.
I still would have covered him up.
I don't see it as a issue if you can cover up something that's not going to cause further pain. Like when we have itchy, scratchy, ambulance blankets, that's going to cause more pain. If you have
Or
a
a
burn
lap.
sheet,
Yeah.
Right.
then that's probably a prudent thought.
They didn't use a burn sheet. Then.
They didn't use a burn sheet from what I've gathered. So he's still alert and oriented times 4, and there's still no changes in the sound of his voice, no hoarseness, no cough. So 8 to 10 minutes later, the medic administers the third dose of 100 mics of fentanyl for the continued pain. And he notes no overall changes with the pain. He's still visibly in distress, complaining 10 on 10. So it seems to me, reading this and thinking about, what these guys told me, the fentanyl seems to not be touching anything. Would you guys have tried something different at this point?
I was literally just going through this in my mind.
Would you go, okay, can I give him ketamine? Can I give him something else? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would like to get the ketamine on board.
We're also going to be here a while. How much? You don't have enough fentanyl for this.
Well, and that's it. Typically, already they've given 300 of fentanyl on a standard pouch in New York State. You carry 200 of fentanyl. On an extended pouch, you have 400 of fentanyl. So they're already 1 dose left, and then they're done
doing
fentanyl
anything anyways. So
right.
And again, who knows? They still have 15 minutes until somebody gets there. At least.
Yeah, I mean, I would have called for ketamine orders.
Yeah.
I don't think I would use ketamine.
So what are you going to use? Morphine?
Well, see, I would go with the fentanyl, but then I would add like a Versed or something with it.
So you're going to do conscious sedation?
Well, that's what I was literally just saying in my head.
I mean, again,
But if you're doing fentanyl and ketamine...
I know you're doing conscious sedation anyway. Yep.
That's
It's an interesting take on things. What is your hesitation to the ketamine? I'm just curious. Not saying it's wrong or whatever.
I don't know. I don't like ketamine. Not for this patient. I actually love ketamine.
Why not for him?
There's too many burns. You have too much cell breakdown.
Mm-hmm.
Giving ketamine, I don't think is going to help him.
Okay. Interesting.
But I don't know what else there would be.
Right. I mean, and they already have a fluid issue with the burn. And yes, they're hypertensive now, but they might not be hypertensive later. So
Right.
I would be, again, they're borderline hypertensive now. Is it something that I don't want to give ketamine because they're already in the 160s that might put them into the 180s? Now we have a problem. Morphine, if I give them morphine, is that going to tank their pressure because of the fluid imbalance?
Issue.
It's a very it would be a very interesting conversation with the doctor. I don't think that I could actually sit there and go, I'm going to use this.
I agree. So I'm like hemming and hawing about it. I would call a doc and have this discussion with them.
Yeah, and be like, Doc, this is what I got.
Right.
Which one would
These
you
are my
rather
options.
use?
What do you think is the best?
Yeah, I agree. I think put this in. It's one of those times where you dump it in their lap.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So,
Unfortunately, if you call them around here, they'll probably tell you to put them on a propofol drip, and you're like, wait, what?
I mean, yep.
We don't carry that, Doc.
Insulin around the table for everybody. So,
Sorry,
I
I digressed into
complaining
down a different path. Yes.
So the crew arrives at the air medical base. The flight team, which consists of a paramedic and a RN, that is stationed there, that initially denied the flight, comes out to meet the ambulance crew. They're given a report by the primary medic, and the flight nurse begins their assessment. And then, I think fairly stupidly, attempts to place that second IV in the right foot, which is not successful.
Yeah.
So you're just wasting time. Right.
Ow.
Right. Exactly. Right. So the primary medic sees that the first saline bag's now complete, switches it out for a new bag. So you've gotten 1,000 mLs in. Prior to connecting the line, the flight nurse administers another dose of lidocaine, 100 milligrams, through the IO, as he began to complain about pain at the IO site. The second flight crew shows up approximately 3 minutes later. He's moved on to the stretcher, and that crew's flight paramedic gives him another 100 mics of fentanyl for pain. They lift him. They lift and fly him to the burn center without having to intubate for no, airway protection. Didn't have to do any of that. They continued to offer pain management throughout the flight. And once at the burn center, he was treated with ultimately with multiple skin grafts, but was able to make a full recovery.
What did the flight crew treat with pain? Did they stick with fentanyl?
They stuck with fentanyl.
Was the fentanyl ever helping him?
I don't have that information.
Is anything going to help him?
Probably not.
Probably not. Yeah.
Probably not.
I mean, that's pretty devastating injury.
Yeah,
Right. So,
I mean, see, honestly, that's the only thing I would be thinking of for going the ketamine route. And I get what you're saying, but just the fact that if there is a way to,
disassociate him.
Yeah, just kind of unscrew the head from the body for maybe just it may or may not work. And we already got the fentanyl on board, and I guess he might go night on us, but then give us another issue. But
even doing a lower dose of ketamine, knowing that you have 300 mics of fentanyl in at that point in time, might get you the order. Not going, I'm going to give him 250, or I'm going to give a weight based dose, which is going to be astronomical
everything
for
we
a
got.
400 pounder, right? Then maybe just going, okay, Doc, I want to start with 25 and just see where that takes us. Or 20 or whatever it might be that the doc is comfortable with, and just seeing how it goes. That could be an option too. But again, that's leave it in the doc's lap, have that conversation.
Yeah.
So overall thoughts for this call?
Well done.
Yeah.
I think so.
I'm very confused by the weirdness at the beginning still.
What?
How are you burnt that bad and you're just going to stand there?
And watch your help walk past.
Right. And not say a goddamn thing.
The only thing that I can still think about.
That
you see
was
these
really
bags
weird.
walk right past you, and you're just like, okay, I'll just stand here.
Yeah.
I'll wait my turn. Like, what?
Yeah.
I'll wait.
And the cops didn't even say anything. Like, they're just like, yep, whatever, man.
Thanks for the help, bro.
Like,
let me know if he needs an Arcan. I'm here for you.
In my mind.
it just, it did make no sense. Made no sense. So,
So I guess my thing is the dosages of the lidocaine.
Yeah, so that was
Sounds
one.
interesting.
That was one thing that that I actually have here to talk about. Is in this area, protocol is actually 40 milligrams for lidocaine through an IO, and they overdosed both times, giving 100. So
they initially gave 100.
They gave 100.
Oh.
So the flight medic gave, or the flight nurse gave 100 milligrams of lidocaine through the IO in one push, and then the medic, the primary medic that did it originally, gave 100 milligrams of lidocaine originally, both of which should have only given 40 according to their protocols. Like they were super honest, with me when I was asking questions, going, Yep, we did it. We overdosed it, like whatever. And I didn't talk to the flight crew. I'm just talking to the ground medics, but they're like, "Yep, we overdosed it. Like it is what it is." But with that, if the medic had done it and given 60 milligrams over, okay, who cares, right? I've even done that. We've all done that. Like, it happens. We own up to it. We talk to the doc. The doc goes, don't let it happen again. Be more mindful. Right. Cool. But the fact that both providers do it.
I know, that's interesting.
And now it's 120 milligrams of lidocaine more than they were supposed to have. That could cause issue. And
I'm starting to think about the cardiac
issues.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So lidocaine, remember, is a sodium channel blocker, and ultimately will have cardiac effects. So yes, it treats the localized pain, but it was created to treat cardiac dysrhythmias, right? Sodium channel blockers act upon all of the three major heart tropes. So it's going to decrease the chronotropic, which is it's going to decrease your heart rate. It decreases inotropic, which is decrease the force of the cardiac contraction. And it's going to decrease the dromotropic, which is the speed in which the signal from the SA node goes to the AV node. So all of that is eventually going to have, cardiac output issues. Right. So,
that's not something we want to have with this guy right now.
Exactly. So those are the things that, one time, okay, whatever, slap on the hand. Twice, maybe we should start looking at the cardiac monitor just a little bit more to make sure nothing funky is going on. Right.
Did they notice it at the time? Did they realize it, or was it after the fact?
I think it was after the fact. It seemed as if they just pushed it and didn't really think about it in the interview that I had with them. And then, as they were talking about it later, charting, going over the call, they were like, oh shit, we fucked up, and then of course learn from it,
Right.
And that's exactly and literally I will say this did happen to me. I talked to the doctor about it. I did an IO, lady in a nursing home, conscious, slammed the 100 and didn't think anything about it until I was sitting there charting. And I'm like, man, 100 seems like a lot.
That seems like a lot.
So then I looked at the protocol and it said 40, and I was like, oh shit. Like,
well, see,
all right,
that's the thing. It's like, the tubes they still give us have 100.
Right.
But anything we have that has to do with lidocaine is 40. That's it. There's nothing beyond that.
Yep. So why don't you just give us 40
why are
vials?
we still...
Right,
yeah. Well, why, because, I mean, when the pucker factor's up, shit like that's going to happen.
Right. Yeah, it is. So, of course, we're doing a burn call. I'm going to mention rule of nines. However, I'm not going to go into it on here because it's too confusing to talk about without pictures.
Yeah,
so
just put up a picture.
there is a link in the show notes and or the description of wherever you're listening or watching this on. I did a rule of nines video on YouTube. Go watch it. Follow that link. The other thing that I wanted to mention was the burn percentage and how they treated it. So 35% burns they treated with mostly the wet dressings, right? So 10% burns, under 10% you should do moist. Over 10%,
dry.
You should be doing dry. And that's only because of the hypothermia factor.
Well, that's what I was just
Right.
yeah.
right? You're going to make them more cold doing, big burn area, wet dressing, going to make people cold.
I mean, you already don't have the mechanism to regulate your temperature
exactly.
with your skin. It's already
Burnt
altered.
off.
So
It's gone.
you're just making that worse.
Right.
And they also didn't, they put wet dressings on them and then they didn't cover them either.
Right. So the other thing that I think was interesting, and I'm curious to see if this was something with their protocol that's different from, say, our local area. But when I was doing this after I had spoke to the crew, and I was writing this down, I was like, man, 35%, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot, right? And there was a significant portion that was second degree.
Yeah.
And there was a significant portion that was first degree. So then I look in the, our protocol app for our local area, and it underneath the doctor's note in rule of nines and burn protocol, it said that when calculating burn percentage, you do not calculate first degree burns into total body percentage.
Oh, really?
So I was, and that was something that I never knew. So I learned something just by this, and I was like, this is really interesting.
In my mind, it's burnt.
It's burnt, right?
Right.
Exactly. They don't call it first degree burn for nothing. Like, you would think you calculate it. And I'm not saying these guys did anything wrong. It was just something that
I would have done the exact same thing.
I would have done the exact same thing too.
Because I was checking the math in my head, and I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
It
That's
totally
right. I'm
makes
literally
sense.
thinking all right, that's about 40%. I would have said 25% first degree.
Yep.
Whatever. I would have separated it,
Right.
but I would have calculated the first degree.
Me too.
That's interesting.
And these,
Right.
I don't disagree that these paramedics did it. It was just something for, we have a lot of listeners in our area, and it was something that I learned going, I never knew this. Maybe I should share this information.
If you have first degree burns all over your body, you just...
That's me every summer.
Yeah, exactly.
saying.
Apparently, we don't care.
But you know what I'm saying? You would still want to get fluids for some of the loss that you're going to have, but Parkland formula goes out the window. Do you just, give fluids at your leisure? All of your stuff is based off of total body surface area.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even the 10% rule is 10% of any kind of burn,
Mm-hmm.
no matter how you slice it.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
weird.
Except first degree because you don't count it.
At least in our area.
That's
Not
so
saying in
interesting.
others, and that's kind of something that I would love to know is there's an email for everybody. Do you actually have that weird rule somewhere else?
So for the 10%, do you count first degree or no?
No, because you don't count it towards body surface area.
Correct.
What?
So it's 10% of anything that's not a first degree.
Right. At least in our area. I have
That's
to
weird.
very specifically say that because it's in our area only that I found that. I didn't find a website or something that said, don't do this, but it's just, it's weird. It was a weird thing that I found that I was like, we should talk about it. Because
Learn
I'm
something
sure
new every day.
everyone was like, what?
Real.
Lastly, I did want to touch base really quick on Parkland formula for burns. And should it actually be utilized in EMS? And we know that, fluid is leaking into the interstitial spaces from the vasculature almost immediately after any type of burn, even first degree.
Right.
So the larger and more severe the burn area, the more severe the fluid loss. Makes sense. The Parkland formula was developed for fluid replacement within the first 24 hours post-burn. So it's calculated. Kelsey was almost, I don't even remember what you said, but pretty
4
much damn.
milliliters per kilogram times body surface area. First half in the first 8 hours, second half over the next 16.
Yeah, she's right on point.
Yeah.
So,
No, my burn formula.
Which basically
Apparently.
translates to, for EMS people, it translates to wide open.
well, and that's it. So, you're thinking 50% of this is in the first 8 hours, right? EMS is not seeing these patients for very long. Even if you have to drive the hour and a half to the burn center,
It's only an hour and a half.
it's only an hour and a half.
What would his body surface area have been just second degree?
I don't know. I didn't figure that
Needs to-
out. So is it worth EMS to utilize this formula, or should we just be giving fluid as long as like lungs remain clear and, you know, MD and kind of push it off on the docs at the hospital, at the burn center to go, okay, EMS gave 2,500 mLs. Cool. We're going to figure out our Parkland formula based on how much they've already given.
Too much, because like even if he had 35% burns, if we're counting first degree burns, which we know we're not, but I'm not doing any more 9 rules.
Yep.
He would only need 1.5 liters every hour.
Yeah.
So
and he
have an hour, and he got 1 liter in
20 minutes, 25 minutes.
So
right.
are you doing more damage by pumping them full of fluids? When long term, I mean, you need 1.5 liters in an hour. Whether if you want to calculate the drip set or not, you can.
Yeah.
Guesstimate
it's still
that one.
something. It's still, and again, this is why I bring it up, because it's one of those things that we don't learn.
Right.
They don't teach. You don't really utilize it. You're just taught dump fluid, and
Right.
you know. And is this something that we should be taking more of a closer look at, or maybe not? You know, that is very
based on that
eye-opening
calculation.
with-
I would say yeah. I mean, especially if it's one thing if you've got 5-minute transport time, you're around the block.
right.
It's another thing is let's say the clouds were over Omaha that day, and you're like, yeah, no, sorry, you're on your own.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's an hour and a half because
Right.
let's face it, you're not going to take them to anywhere but a burn center. With
You would
that
hope.
type of shape.
And then
So
you want to
Well,
administer
you would
proper
hope.
fluids.
right. Yeah.
right.
And
So in that situation, yeah. So an hour and a half, having that formula actually figured out probably would have been a
you-
prudent thing to do.
Right.
3 liters over that hour and a half transport.
yeah.
Give or
Right.
take.
And
Yeah.
and realistically, I have an app for the Parkland formula on my phone. Right? You don't need
Nerd alert.
yep, nerd.
What's
But
worse,
it's
that
true.
he has the app or that I remember the formula?
Yep. Yeah, because I don't remember the formula. But
I'm
it's
just glad when
something,
I remember my phone.
Honestly.
Um,
I gotta call the doc. Oh fuck! Hey, give me your phone.
but it really is something that more providers should consider, especially just I did not figure out the Parkland formula for this guy, so thank you, Kelsey, for doing that, because that is an eye-opening answer.
Yeah.
Like this paramedic gave him almost 3/4 of what he was supposed to get
What he
in an
needed.
hour and a half in 25-30 minutes. So yeah, we
And I
should
don't-
probably be utilizing
I mean, I
this.
don't know long term if too much fluid will be an issue, but
And I think a lot of it is going to, we dump fluids and then they're going to have to cut back on fluids in the hospital, because they're not going to continue what we're doing,
Right.
So anything else from you guys? That was really all I wanted to talk about. Anything that you guys noticed? Want to talk about?
No, I thought they do good.
Comments, questions, concerns?
no.
All right. Thank you,
Okay.
Little John.
I was like, what is going on back there?
I hope everyone else heard
Yes.
that.
I could hear it, but I was really confused.
Because somebody forgot to turn his phone to silent.
Gotta love it. Well, if
Hey,
that's
as long as Little John agrees, right?
damn Skippy.
that's my go-to.
There you go. So with that, I will say have a good February. We will see you on February 15th. Again, check out
Happy
that Patreon.
Valentine's Day. It is an irrelevant
Oh.
holiday, but happy Valentine's Day.
What day is that? I don't celebrate that.
It's Monday. We have clinical on Monday.
I'll bet your wife does.
No, my wife and I do not actually celebrate
Every day is Valentine's Day when you're married. Hello.
Yep.
Uh,
I don't
think
give her
it's a stupid
presents. We
holiday
don't go
based
out.
on capitalism and
Yep.
Hallmark.
Yep, we don't do it. Literally, when we started dating, I said, I don't do it, so don't expect anything. And she just fell in line with it. So it was great.
Anti-American.
Not
It's
really.
a capitalistic holiday, but for Hallmark
Yep.
and
Fucking-
chocolate.
Right. We want to support capitalism.
We do, just not on Valentine's Day. Not happening.
What, you don't want to pay $9 for a card? Come on.
Nope.
You know?
I'll
No,
make a
No,
card
the
over.
best holiday is the day after Valentine's Day when all the
candy's
candy is
on
half
sale.
off.
Yep. Fuck
Cheap,
yeah.
cheap chocolate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cheap chocolate.
Yep. All right.
Can't beat it.
And the egg or the heart-shaped Reese's. The shapes are always the best.
Sure. I don't like
Oh, the
Reese's,
Cadbury
so-
eggs. They'll be coming out soon.
Cadbury eggs are, yeah, yum.
They'll be coming soon, right after. Usually right after
Right
Valentine's Day
after
starts showing
Valentine's
up.
Yep. Those are yummy.
Good
Something
stuff.
to look forward to.
Well, now that we've had this interesting discussion that I'm sure everyone's riveted listening to, they're on the edge of their seat, like, really, when are the Cadbury eggs coming out? So, fantastic.
I'm just
Get on that Patreon.
Yeah, get on that Patreon, send us an email, and like I said, we will see you all on the 15th.
Roger that. Donuts.
Are they heart-shaped? Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you'd like more information on the podcast or to send us a call to review, visit medicmaterials.com/podcast. To learn more information, like us on Facebook at Medic Materials EDU, or watch our weekly instructional videos on the Medic Materials YouTube channel.